Hi everyone. Today we have with me Vikas. A very interesting profile that we have today. So just a little brief introduction of Vikas. Basically, he's an Indian architect and urban designer. He studied at the School of Planning and Architecture in New Delhi. He's also been a speaker at TEDx, a couple of different cities in India. So he's also the founder of Rethinking the Future, which I will actually get him to in this podcast elaborate more on his journey and what inspired him to start it, as well as the new platform called Eduwik, which is actually a e-course platform for young architecture designers and graduates. And I think without further ado, say hi because hello, how are you?
Hi, Gabriel. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. So basically, both of us are based in India and are based in Singapore. I'm in
Yeah,
Singapore and he's in India, both in
yeah,
Asia. So
yeah,
it's good to have a good time slot. Like it's a very common time slot.
yeah.
So I think it's great to finally have you on board with the podcast recording. And yeah, so for those who do not know about you, I think people not haven't really seen the face behind
Yeah,
RTF. It's such a global platform right now, and I think it'll be quite interesting to get to know you better. So maybe just give a little introduction by yourself, and
yeah,
yeah.
sure, sure. So, I'm an architect and urban designer by qualification. So, I graduated back in 2011 from SP Delhi, which is, you can say it like it is one of the premier institute in India. So, that was it. And then, like, I had a great interest in sustainability right from the college itself. So even the projects that I was designing were very much into the sustainability aspect. So what I used to do is whenever I check any good project or any interesting link related to sustainability, I used to send these to all my friends and share with them and ask them to check this out. This is something cool that I found. So what they suggested is, why don't you start your Facebook page and you can just put in all the information that you gather and we can watch it from there. So that's the spark that actually started the journey of RTF. So I started with a Facebook page right after I graduated from the college. In 2012 I started this, and then very soon I started to the kind of project that I was getting. I realized that maybe I should post these on my website. So very soon the website was there, and the whole idea behind the rethinking the future was to promote the projects that that were doing something new, something that think about the future while the designers were designing it. So that was the idea. So initially, we all the projects that we were putting on our platform was the basic concept behind them was the sustainability and the futurism. So that's how RDF started, and that's why we call it rethinking the future too. And later on, we started expanding it. Like more and more people were interested to showcase their projects on our platform. So we thought, why not let's make jot down a few categories where we can invite projects and we can publish them. So it started organically and then started expanding. And I had a personal interest in writing and also the usual graphics. So that gave me a boost. Like I used to write a lot about a lot of stuff, not just about architecture, but about in general. Like you can call a short story, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So I had an interest of writing. So I started writing about architecture too, and very soon I realized that people are liking whatever I'm writing on my platform. So I thought like maybe I should start inviting people to share their thoughts as well. Why not invite the larger fraternity? And pretty soon, like I was getting queries, like people wanted to work with me, and they wanted to write for RTF, and that's how it all started, like the architectural journalism part of it, where we today we post about roughly 20 articles every day apart from the project that we publish. So that comes from this spark, like that people were generally interested in writing, and I had the same interest. So collectively it or and very organically it grew. It took a lot of years. Like started in 2012, and I think whenever I ask people like how long do you know RTF, they know usually about 3-4 years back, not before that. So it took a really long time for us to to make a presence, and now we are
Yeah, it's like
in
kind
our
of
full
like now
pace.
it's 10 years. It's already been
Yeah,
10 years
it's
since
been 10
2012.
years. Yeah, yeah,
Quite a journey for you, right?
yeah. So it was just like you. It was a side hustle for me for 3 years. Like I was working as an architect
Mm.
with one of my mentor who used to teach me in my college. Actually, who because of whom I got interest in sustainability. He was Dr. Vinod Gupta. So he offered me a job, like invited me to work on a competition where we could design a project, master plan for the campus. There is an institute in India called Indian Institute of Technology. So
Okay.
yeah, they are like there are several institutes with these names in in different cities. So they were expanding in Gandhinagar, which is very close to Ahmedabad, if you might have heard of the city in India. Where it's the city where our Prime Minister comes from,
Okay.
Narendra Modi. Yeah.
That's quite cool, I think.
Yeah. So we were designing for the master plan of IT Onion, which we eventually won. And since my guide, my mentor, knew that I have interest in sustainability, and he was also working in the same direction. He actually designed the first intelligent building of India. It was there back in 90s in Mumbai. So I was giving my inputs in the design, like how can like my thesis project was uh, based on three basic concepts like climate change, like and how we can provide shelter, food, and water to the people in case of
Mhm.
when we are adapting to the climate change. So he said like, why don't you continue your that hypothesis and apply those concepts in these master plan as well, and which eventually got appreciated and got included in the final draft, and we won, and then that's how it's been planned. So that gave a good boost. So, and it took about 3 years to realize that I can run RTF full on. Like I can leave my job, I can make a sufficient income out of it and sustain myself. Because whenever we talk about sustainability, we usually tend to forget about economic sustainability.
Yeah.
So,
Correct, correct.
so that's very
I think
important.
even for our own selves as well, our own journeys, right? We have to think about like how are you able to sustain this like running a venture and also alongside a day job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's how simple it is as well.
yeah, that's actually that's the main hustle for anyone who is starting out. Like even I see a lot of people who are trying to create a lot of content on Instagram, and for example your page also is really amazing and really cool stuff that you are putting, but it
Hmm.
takes a lot of time to reach a level where you can be make it a sustainable model for for a living, so that you can contribute more towards the passion that you are enjoying
Yeah,
yourself.
actually, I would say that I, for myself, I think I'm still on the way there.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out like things about what is my business model, what is what I really want to
But
do
you
with the platform.
eventually you will hit that note, because
Yeah.
when I started I didn't have any this thought in mind that I'm doing this to make money out of it. So that
Hmm.
this money follows passion. That's true. So if you keep on working the way you're doing stuff, you will eventually find ways. People will be happy to collaborate with you, and you can make money out of it. That's there.
Yeah, is to actually like what you said. Ideal situation is that people are willing to spend some investment at least to
Yeah,
help themselves to actually develop into better
yeah,
architects. I think my role is also to help them to get there. I think I feel joy in like sharing
yeah,
knowledge,
yeah,
especially through technical basics, which is my emphasis and focus. So that is what I've been always been trying to see how can I serve better, how can I give more value,
yeah.
and and is it sustainable? Can I make it into like a
It
business
will
model that can
eventually it will
actually
be
sustain itself?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It will be
So I think for myself,
eventually.
it's still quite early, I would say, because if you take 10 years to get where you are today,
Yeah.
I think I will take 10 years as well. So I think
No, but
I
you
won't
you
be.
you might get it pretty sooner, because
Mm,
because we are working on our website only, and today in like back then we were not really focused on Instagram or Facebook and all. Like I
yeah.
started off with Facebook, but the whole focus was the website only. So the organic reach of a website takes a lot more time than the social media today.
Yeah, I
Doing
think we will talk
campaigns and
about
all.
that maybe later on, because more like the technical side of running a
Yeah,
website, basically
yeah,
for articles like yours and mine. I think we will talk about it later. Like maybe
yeah.
you can
Sure,
share some tips about those interested in running such websites and also like to create content. I think
sure,
like
sure, sure,
SEO. Yeah, so
sure.
I'll
Yeah,
maybe we could talk about it later.
yeah,
I think first I want to dive into the topic about education for young architects. So
yeah,
and graduates. So as you know, we are all in the digital age, right? and there's
Yeah, right.
a lot of new up and coming content platforms that share projects and shares inspiration and ideas.
Yeah.
So such as RTF and Eduwik. There's also a rise in online courses like
So
providers like Domestica, Masterclass, and like Eduwik. So it's a lot of different providers. So what do you think? Why is this happening, and what do you think we can
yeah,
look
let me
forward
just
to
share
learn
a
more?
small thought that that instigated the whole idea of
Mm,
creating another learning platform like Adobe. One of the reason like we are running RTF is like to bridge the gap, the information gap that we have, the
yep.
topics that people are searching for, and
Okay.
if there is enough available uh, good research material available on a particular topic that people are searching already. So,
Mm,
we have been doing this for a very long time on RTF. Like here comes a small play of SEO, like what are the topics that people are searching for, and then we create the content accordingly. That's there. But once this pandemic came in, a lot of people like me were flooded on their social media with
mm,
many online courses, and we could see that this is the upcoming future. Like online classes is the only future, and offline is going to uh, is not the direction that the future is heading on. So we thought like when I was a student, so one of the major problem was that how engaging the class is. I used to sleep in the early morning classes. They were not.
Same.
And it was especially it was history of architecture where I used to fall asleep. So I realized that if and I see a lot of innovation in marketing of these courses. Like people
Mm,
come up with very innovative ideas, not just about architecture, about any other master class. So people are pitching their ideas very innovatively. But what I could find was like there is not a lot of effort in creating that class engaging enough for the people. Like people who are already sleeping in the offline classes, how are they going to be enjoy the online classes? So that was
okay.
the hypothesis that we started to work on. Like what is the problem that you know that is there in the online classes. So when we
Mm,
started asking people, we started to create surveys and asking students and mentors both. So one of the things that we realized was that mentors are creating a very long content, like 9-10 hours of content, and which where people tend to lose their focus, and they are not able to complete the course. So we realize that it has to be short. If you want to keep somebody engaging, it has to be to the point, and so that people can grab information in the least possible time. That's where the engagement comes in. And
mm,
so that was one point. Like people, a lot of people are using PowerPoint as their mode, so which
mm,
is not the right mode to connect with people, and it has been used for a very long time. Like people are started to use Prezi, which is still engaging enough, but the simple boring way of presentation is another reason of people not getting engaged with the courses that they are they have bought. So we realized that why don't we start creating our own courses and see where we can make it more engaging and a short course for people. So we just for a fun we started out this experiment, and we thought like we receive a lot of queries on portfolios and how to give theses. So we thought of picking these topics, and we thought like maybe we should start creating a course around it. So we hired a lot of people who are interested in doing research, and we collaborated with a lot of mentors, and we started asking questions, uh, and eventually we realized that it has to be visually appealing. There has to be visual graphics, like motion graphics is the best way to present any idea. So that was there, and we thought of like how can we reduce the time. So we started making scripts like of all the courses. Like we need to keep in mind the word limit and the time limit that we have. So we started figuring out all this stuff, and we then started with three courses back in January of 2021, and we
mm,
received a really good like response to that. And then we opened surveys for what all other topics that people wanted to make uh, to join the courses which are not usually available, because most of the courses that were available was about the software, like people are willing to interested learning Rhino, Grasshopper, or the SketchUp, V-Ray, Revit, BIM. All these courses are already there, but the information that is lacking, again, that the view that we have in RTF also, like what is the gap there that we need to fill in. So we started making courses around that. Like a lot of people are interested in like maybe designing the open spaces, landscape architecture, urban design. People are not very aware of like how urban design works. People think that it's only for the large scale projects, but you can deal, any small scale project that deals with the public, you can integrate urban design in that. So we started creating awareness about all these specializations too, and then we choose topics like how you can market your uh, design firm, like how can you build your presence, your visibility, and build a brand around your architecture firm. These were the topics that we started to picking on, and which were all also out of the queries that we were receiving through various surveys that we did. So right now we have around 17 courses on Eduwik, and uh, since we choose the topics that were already being searched on, so they are already receiving a good amount of response from the people. So, and we are continuing to evolve all more courses, even more courses, and now we have started collaborating with different mentors, like they can host their courses in Adobe. So that's the vision, like that is the way to grow, like to expand. We cannot make all the courses in house at RTF. So that's the idea, like now to open it to the people who are already doing, who are already hosting their courses, to engage with them, to make them better, to get them into the format that we are putting in, and then launch them through our platform. That's the idea behind Eduwik.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see the direction. So basically, I also agree with you that video is the best way to demonstrate a concept.
Yeah,
Other than video, is also maybe in person when you brief and show how to do it. But
yeah,
the next best thing is actually a video, right? If you
yeah,
come in
yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah. The next
So
best thing,
yeah,
apart
so
from the
basically,
physical interaction.
yeah, I also heard about you. There's this like idea that every 2 seconds there needs to be something in the video that changes. So like subtitles or maybe a change in the scene. So that
Yeah,
also makes it less boring in a sense, and also
yeah, yeah.
especially when we are all consuming like social media content like TikTok. It's very
Yeah,
very
so
fast
yeah,
paced,
that's the
very short
point, right?
clips.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
the
that's why
point.
I think I also agree that your platform essentially is good in a way that it actually structures the videos in a very short format, and I think it will be quite successful because all of us are attention
Yeah,
deprived,
grabbing
as in
attention.
we need to
And we,
we are all lacking
when
attention. Yeah,
we are talking about our target audience, like the young architecture students or the young
yeah.
graduates, so they are not just looking at your page or my website. They Your page or my website is one of the tab in their Chrome browser. Like the other tab
Multiple tabs
could
open.
yeah, out of the 30 tabs open, we are one of them. So
That's great.
so to create a difference, to make them read or to understand anything, we have to to be engaging enough. That's the
You have
key.
to capture their attention and so to
Yeah,
keep it and to retain it. Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a challenge for
Even
all of us
for the
actually.
formats that we are using on RTF, we do a lot of list-based articles. Like if
Hmm.
you want to search on some style of architecture, so we jot down the point, like to serve it in the minimum possible time, so that people can get the information again without losing their too much time. So the attention part is very important, so we keep on that on our mind always, like even when we are writing or putting an article on RTF or developing a course on Eduwik. So that's there.
Yeah, because I'm looking through the Eduwik website right now, and I see a lot of different sub courses. Specifically, for those who are not really aware about what is Eduwik about, just a brief introduction. Basically, basically it's an online platform for e-courses, and I do
Yeah,
see like a student bundle. So basically, it's a bundle that has multiple courses within that whole bundle. Things
yeah,
like how to design architecture portfolio, things like a thesis guide, how do you do a thesis. Uh, I found interesting ones such as uh like how to do dissertation writing. I think that's
yeah,
very interesting, especially for
yeah,
students.
yeah,
Uh, Introduction to landscape architecture, yeah,
yeah,
things like that. How to design streets, and
yeah,
also product design, skyscraper design. So there's many different courses. I also highly recommend that you look like if a student who's listening right now can watch and listen.
yeah,
Uh, Maybe sign up for the courses. I'll also recommend to get the whole bundle because it's really worth it instead of buying one separate course
Yeah.
and eventually you may want to actually get all of the courses at a cheaper price. So I will also share a coupon code later in the show notes. I think I also have an affiliate with Eduwik, so which is
Okay.
great. So actually, if you're listening right now, it will be a good deal if you actually use this promo code that I have as well. And basically, it's just ARCHLOGBOOK. Yeah, you can just key in ARCHLOGBOOK into the discount code. You can get 10% off. 10% off. That's correct. So I think for this part of the podcast, I think we've said enough about why
Yeah.
do we need online courses and why is it's going to be more prevalent, and
Yeah.
especially in terms of the styles and the content of the way we teach architecture.
Yeah.
It's going to be so different and also a bit more demanding in a sense, I think, for all
Yeah.
of us. And where it started with software tutorials and now going towards more content theory, maybe even more inspirational content for architects, we have to think is the
Yeah.
right direction. So you don't really just focus on software tutorials, but you also go into the heart of architecture, which is
Yes,
like the way we
the
think.
yes, the information that they need to grab, before designing a project. The idea is to make the built environment, uplift the whole built environment. And so, uh, software is one way to, go into the like parametric based or future based design, but
Yeah.
you can make any ordinary design into a great design by putting all the details into it. Like if you
Mm.
have the knowledge, basic knowledge of landscape architecture, urban design, or how to design study, if you put in all that information on any project, that will eventually become a great addition to the city. So that's the whole
Yeah.
idea, like to uplift the whole education of the architecture behind putting all these courses on that. That was the idea, and that's the reason we are putting all these topics and not going into the software, because software is essential, that we agree, and people are already providing that information. But this is
Yeah.
where the information is lagging. So we wanted to put it to the and we're promoting our bundle as well, because eventually each of these courses are going to help in the long run, even
Yes.
if not now, but they will eventually, like when they want to get, they students have graduated, they want to get their projects published, or they want to start their career, they want to choose some master's option. All these are covered in our bundle, so they can opt
Mm.
for it, and they get the lifetime access. So that was the idea, like people, once they get it, they know how to excel. So that's
Yeah,
what
because as
I
we
think.
all know, I think that there's always a prevalent gap in the knowledge between, in school and in practice.
Yes.
So I think this is one of the ways that we are trying to bridge that gap. I think we're still in the works, right? We're actually all trying to consolidate content and to actually establish what is really lacking in the education.
Yeah.
And we also know that, like, especially when you compare architecture like practice maybe 10 years ago versus now, there's so
Yes.
many more new regulations and there's new considerations that we need to do
Yeah.
as architects. So like for example sustainability, right? Nobody talked about it last time, like in 10 years ago, and then now
Yes.
we talk about it, and then now we have to really incorporate all of the different, like, active and passive systems into our design at the
Yes.
start as architects. So we are sort of burdened with more responsibilities, and I
Right.
think one of the ways to actually, firstly encapsulate the widening scope of our work, and also to make it easy to access at where people need it the most at the start of the practice. Yeah, so we maybe we ideally we expect that institutions, like in schools, to actually s- bring those lack of the missing gap, bring it into the curriculum, but we are also trying to accelerate it, yeah, through all of these initiatives. So like for yours and mine, I think we're all trying to bridge the gap together,
Yes.
and
Right. Right.
eventually, make architecture a better practice for all.
Yes. True. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. So I think now we can actually go into the next part. Basically, for those who are interested in, firstly, like starting something like what we're doing, like
Hmm.
to create content and to share the ideas and thoughts.
Yeah.
And also maybe to run maybe like causes or create causes. So when we talk about the number one thing that they should do, let's say for example, for myself, what I think they should do is actually to observe what's happening around in the digital landscape, right? On websites, YouTube videos, who is doing what, like to also stand out in terms of their career. Basically, for those who are considering to use social media or
Hmm.
websites to increase their online presence. Yeah. So, do you have any off the top head, any first ideas about how do they start getting their online presence better?
First is to get all your thoughts into place. Like just jot down all the points that you feel. Well, you have to be very clear that why you want to start first in the first place,
That's right.
right? So jot down all the points that this is what you want to talk about. This is what think is lagging, because there is a lot of information that we can provide and is not available right now. So you can
Mm,
contribute anywhere you want. So first you have to be clear and start with that only, so people can make a difference and choose why they want to hear you or read about all the articles that you're writing. So they should have a clarity. It shouldn't be like that they can read it anywhere else also. So try to make a difference. That is where you can stand out. So if
mm,
you start with a difference, you will go, eventually you will reach out to the people, because they know you, what you are talking about is not usually available anywhere else. So that is the first start. And then you must learn about the technical stuff, like the
yeah.
search engine optimization. And
Mm,
uh, that is the key part, because all these things that people are already searching, how do you get to know about that? So you have to learn basics of what search engine optimization is. And once you have written a great article, it and you should make sure that it is graphically appealing, and it comes in the search. Like if people are not able to read what you're writing, then the purpose is half full. To make it, you have to put in all the efforts to make it to reach out to the people. So a lot of people like writing, and they do write great stuff, but it doesn't reach out to many people. So and they are not being able to create a difference that which they can eventually be. So that's the idea. Like you should start with basics. You can find many courses online these days on Udemy or any other platform
mm,
or search engine
yeah.
optimization. You can know what other people are writing about and how they are ranking in Google. So that's very important, even for Google or any platform. If you search, one of the drawbacks that I found in Instagram or Facebook is you cannot search content on it.
Yeah.
You can search for people or places, but if you are supposed writing 10 tips for people to start out their career, they cannot search this particular sentence on Instagram and reach out to you or your
Actually,
article
the
on
only way is
Instagram.
through hashtags, but not many people use hashtags, I
Not
think.
many people, even
Yeah.
if they use hashtag, they have to use trending hashtags to come into the
Yeah.
recent post.
Correct.
And then once it's 2-3 days old post, you are not visible anymore in the recent post,
Correct.
so you lose
Yeah.
your attention there. So even if you are there on YouTube, you are there on Instagram, you are there on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are, start putting all, since you are already producing your content, just put that on it. These days creating a website doesn't take much time. You can use platforms like Wix, which readily provides just a uh, drag and drop builder kind of interface where you can easily create your website. Just start putting all your stuff in that, because uh, social media's organic reach eventually dies, but with time Google's organic reach increases. That's the
Mm,
difference.
that's right.
Today if you
Yeah.
have 100,000 followers, and with time your organic reach is going to die. Only even 3 4 or 5% of the people of your followers are going to watch your content, and for the other people you will have to run the paid ads. But that is totally opposite when you are working on your website and you're working for the Google search. With time
Mm,
your content gets more valued. So
yes.
to people who are starting out creating content, I would it's a must, yeah, that you put on your website all the content that you are doing. And the algorithms these days, you don't know if by any mistake Instagram blocks your account. This can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of stories. So to avoid that, you have to be in your control, where you can expand the content or the platform that you are working on. So eventually make your vision like you want to hold on to the maximum part of the platform that you are running. So on social media you don't have that control in terms of algorithm or the reach or anything, but in terms of your own website or your you can host it on your server. You have all the control, right? So
Yeah, basically you own the content
yeah,
because for a website you own the content, you own the
yeah,
domain, and
yeah,
whatever hosting essentially you pay for it,
yeah.
right? So that is your content
That is
and
your content, and nobody's
yeah.
going to
But
have
also
control over
basically I
it.
also agree with you. Yeah, that SEO is really the number one thing we should actually learn
Number one.
about. And also I think but even before that you mentioned like clarity, like why
Even
do you
when
want
you
to
are
do this?
starting, and
Yeah.
when you are thinking of a probable name of your
Mm,
channel, just
yeah.
learn basics of search engine optimization, and you will know that even deciding the name. I didn't know this earlier, because otherwise
Mm,
I would have
yeah.
not kept the name Rethinking the Future. I would have kept something related to architecture that would have come much earlier in the search engines. But I learned this part a lot later, but I can share it with people who are starting out now.
Yeah, and also
That
I
is the
think
key thing.
I think that's the number one thing to actually see. If you want to start and have a name, like you always
Yeah,
search on Google what is it
yeah.
and what is the
Uh,
is there any
I would tell
other similar results?
a very small story, like why when I was doing my thesis project, I named it. I was making a skyscraper, and I wanted to make it uh, the least possible energy consuming skyscraper. So I named it Eco Skyscraper as the draft name of the project. So I
Okay.
made my hypothesis based on that, and eventually I had a good thesis project with me. Well, like it got really appreciated in the college, and I submitted this on Architizer back then, and on Inhabited, and from there on it got picked from about 100 platforms, like because of its simple name. It had
Mm.
skyscraper in it, and it had eco, so a lot of people were searching for it. It got flashed in a lot of searches, and many platforms, like, so there was one all architecture community. They gave my project as the best skyscraper of 2011. So things like these started happening, and when uh, even like local newspapers in India, they thought that this project is going to get built in Noida. There is a city here in India, so that was my site. So they thought this is going
Mm.
to come in a real. So I got queries from the newspaper that they want to
Wow.
interview me.
Yeah,
And
sometimes it's actually just up to luck. Yeah.
because of that one project, I started getting
Yeah.
queries from TEDx platform that we want you to come and present your project. So
Mm.
that's a very simple thing, gave a whole spark. Like, you have to be, you don't have to think of a very fancy name, because that will come to use only when people know it.
Mm.
Once
Yep.
you have established your brand, um, till that time people are going to search very common like stuff like the skyscraper, or the green buildings, or something like that, or the architecture course, or anything architecture tips. People are going to search for these stuff. So if you derive your name from that, that will help you in the initial boost, and which is very essential for anyone who is starting out.
Yeah. So I guess for those who are listening, I think it's now you know why SEO is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and also I think like also like being clear of why you're doing this, what you want to achieve out of this. Is it also being like do you want to be a thought leader in this space? Like I think also I think one of the things I learned also is basically to have a niche. So basically
Yeah.
you don't talk about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talk about things that you're interested in.
Start with a niche. Later on, you
Yeah,
can expand when people know. Then they
that's right.
want to
Yeah,
read everything on one platform. Then
yeah.
they tend to like that. So that can come later on, but you have to start with a difference with your niche and
Basically just start somewhere. Basically
some.
some most of the things what I realized is that some people are hesitant to start is because they don't know what to do.
Hmm.
Then what we can help you on because I can tell you to look around and see what other people are doing. The other reason is like how to do it, which is basically, how the actual like creating a website, how to
Yeah,
write a blog post. That's also available on YouTube if you want to learn more about it.
yeah, yeah,
But I think the last reason nobody starts, people don't start is because maybe they're hesitant. Basically, they they're like maybe not confident or like they don't know where to start. Yeah. So
So
my
so
advice is
so
also to just start
yeah. If
somewhere and just navigate as you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That you just have to start. Take a very small step, and eventually you will reach. Like confidence will come eventually.
So for those interested in like writing for RTF, I'm sure people are listening who want to
Yeah,
actually
we so we have this
to
writing training
write for you
program
guys.
where we invite people, and we ask their interests. What are your general interests that you want to write about?
Mm,
And then our research team, suggests few topics, like these are the topics that you can write on. So it's a
yeah,
like 15-week sort of training program where you know uh, we take interest and we suggest topics, and then when they submit their writings, we give them the feedback they need, and then we publish them with the proper due author credits, and they get their page as author on RTF as well. So with this is we are running, and this is all free of cost. Nobody is charging them anything for anything. Like even our graphic team prepare the best possible covers that that can go with their articles. So we want to make the voice heard by a lot of people. So we do that. Like we put in a lot of efforts from our in-house team, and we publish the article that comes in on our platform. People can join in for the 15-week program. That's open for students and young graduates, or anybody who's interested in writing about architecture.
yeah. I
That's
think
there.
I'll add the link into the show notes as well later on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll share that.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything I want to talk about about the missed out?
Is there
Let
anything
me take a look.
feel free to ask anything? I can
Yeah.
share
So I
my.
just want to have a little last segment to this podcast. Basically, uh, so where do you see RTF and Eduwik going in the next maybe 5 to 10 years?
In next 5 to 10 years. I see like I want to integrate all the upcoming technologies in the learning platform. That is our
Mm-hmm.
vision right now. Like we, as like I'm an architect only, and I'm trying my best to level up with all the things that comes in. I learn digital marketing, SEO, and all, but where I'm lacking right now is the machine learning, the AI part of it, and how we can
Okay.
integrate later on in the Eduwik and RTF. So that is our next thing, like to learn and to integrate, and how eventually to teach people how this can contribute to the architecture, that city making process in itself. So not just in the platform, but also in the profession in general, how these things can contribute. This is our the coming research that we are working on, and we have to learn a lot and try a lot. So eventually we know we will reach somewhere, but that's the next thing that is on top of my head, that where I think we are heading towards, is this thing, like integrating all this stuff like machine learning and AI and all this stuff to learn and then integrate.
Yeah, I think when we also collaborate like with other content creators and architects,
Yeah,
to create educational content,
yeah,
and then put it into one platform, I think that is ideal because like not many of us have like the ability to pay for many different courses, and then
yeah.
yeah that yeah especially when the financial cost of like going for education in schools is not very
Yes, yes, yes,
is
yes,
quite high expensive.
yes,
So actually providing like a consolidated, highly relevant online courses in one place would be the best bet for your
yes,
platform, like for Eduwik, for example. Yeah,
yeah.
so I think I'm quite confident that you guys will be going places, and yeah, and getting the following that you need, and also the students that you are looking for. Yeah.
We're just trying our best, and we just hope for the best. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I think I also may be doing my own courses, so I can
Mm,
actually like
yeah,
maybe in the next few years. So I will definitely reach out to you guys again. Not a
that'll be
problem.
great. That'll be great because
Yeah.
people who think alike, who want contribute to the same space, should come together and you know give to the larger cause that we are working on.
Yeah. Because I
That's
also
true.
see a problem. There's like so many different platforms, and I think
Mm.
we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it may
True that.
be wiser to actually see how best we can actually collaborate, and also to you know uh maybe fill in each other's gaps. Maybe there's
Sure.
some gap in certain content that actually cover for you, and then maybe there's another branch of area of expertise that you're not really familiar with. You can get somebody else to actually fill in the gap.
Sure, sure, sure.
So what we get is actually a holistic, broad of content that I think will be highly relevant to students
And
of the
one of the
future.
main reason of collaboration is like people who follow us may not be following you, or people who follow you may not
Yeah,
be following us. So
yeah,
if the idea is to give information to the larger people, then why don't we, come out to each other's platform and share the knowledge that we are gaining through our experiences, through our trials and errors, to the people that we really want to share with, no matter who they are following. So it doesn't really matter. We just collaborate and give out the information that we have. That is there.
Yeah, especially we are living in a shared digital age, right? So and
Yeah.
even like
Yes.
even you and I are talking like in the same time, but we're all in different
Yeah.
locations
Yes.
around the world. So
Yes.
I think like even when we're talking about just now about like people interested in creating content,
Hmm.
I think another way to also like expand your reach is actually to reach out to people like platforms like RTF, platforms
Hmm.
like like Arc Daily, uh, get your content read and by other people and also get the feedback.
Right. Right.
So it's not just about you like spitting out things and sharing your thoughts, but
Yeah.
also getting feedback and see whether it actually really helps people in that sense or not.
Right.
So
Yes.
and it
Yes.
also
Yes.
gets traffic from your site from other people's followers, for
Hmm.
example. So that's what I'm doing also actually like when I interview you, both of us actually benefit because when I share it with my audience and you share it with your audience,
Sure.
both
Sure.
of us can benefit.
Yes.
So I also saw that the potential in podcasting so that it was what started this whole idea of like creating podcast episodes
Yeah.
since this year. So that's quite
Okay.
interesting journey so
Yeah.
far.
No, I checked your other videos as well. You're creating a lot of
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean for me it's also still a a learning journey. And I think as for you as well. So I think that is ultimately how we should live life lah. Basically, take what we can learn and then we can actually continue to change things and make it better and you can progress even further.
Right. 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 So,
That's all right. So any parting words before we end? I think what students, young
for
graduates.
students, I would like to say that I see a lot of young students um, in stress, like they are worried about their internships, jobs, or
Mm,
the usual curriculum, and they talk too much about architecture. I think you
okay.
need to take this like as part of your life. This architecture is not your whole life, right? So
Mm,
I see, you know, this problem like popping up in a lot of young graduates too. Like we tend to, uh, overthink a lot of stuff that we don't need to.
yeah.
So just keep it simple, and you will reach eventually where you want to be. Just keep your mind clear. Don't fill it with a lot of thoughts. Just have some clarity what you want, and then just go for it. You will reach where you want to be.
Yeah, I
And
think
keep
that we are,
keep
we are
keep
all we're all
architecture as
here
part of
to
your life, not your whole
yeah, it's
life.
part
You
of our
have,
life.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
very
not
important.
everything. I
Yeah.
think yeah, basically you mentioned a very good point, like mental health. I think
Yes.
is a very prevalent issue, especially if you're students nowadays.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also like to say that it's really uh take take breaks and also, don't maybe spend a few hours just to detox from architecture and then you come back again.
Yeah.
You may face the same problem, but with rest and a short break, you'll be able to see the problem in a different light.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
So for how about graduates? Any advice for them?
Any young graduates, people who are looking to start up their farms, I would say uh, create start documenting all the work that you have done so far or you are planning to do. Document them really well, get them published. A lot of people don't take these things seriously, but getting published is really helpful for a lot of people because people get a lot of queries from the clients when they get their projects published. It's true. Like if people, a lot of people think that we don't need to get our projects published because we get like our publicity. We get clientele from the clients that we already working with.
Yeah.
So that's not true. You get a lot of fresh queries, a lot of new clientele from the audience that they are reading your projects. We reach out to many people through our social media. When we see their work online, we want to talk to them. Why? Because we get to see their project somewhere and we want to collaborate with them. And then so that this is digital age. You cannot ignore digital presence. You have to build it. So
Mm.
as early you can start, that'll be good for you. So
I think that's really good advice.
if
Yeah.
they are starting out their firm, I can be sure of like they are good at design or they know they're what they're doing, but this is essentially like the business part of the firm that people tend to ignore, but you
Mm.
must not. You have to take. It's not just about creating good design. You have to be sustainable. You have to you know and that is how the whole work culture will improve. Like if you are good at charging a good fee from the client, you are getting a good clientele, you will be able to provide to the interns or the young graduates who are working for you. So that is a win-win for the whole fraternity if you are investing in business part of your design firm. So that is essential, which I want to
Yeah, because it tends to focus on just the design aspect of the practice.
do. Yeah,
But I mean, like you mentioned, the business part, I think is
is
very
is is
lacking.
very very
And it's actually very essential for like small firm owners who are starting out.
yes.
Yeah, so I think previously I also talked to, before, I talked to Sarah Colata. So basically, she's also doing, uh, like
Sarah
business side of
Plata, yeah, yeah,
architecture.
yeah. I've read about
Yeah,
her.
she's
Yeah,
doing that sphere of business
yeah, yeah.
development.
She's
So I
doing
talked to her
really good,
previously.
good
Yeah,
work.
she's
That
really
that.
good.
Mm,
Yeah, so I suggest you can follow her as well. So
yeah, I
I
do.
think actually a lot of the guests that are coming on in this season is quite interesting. So
Mm,
I highly recommend for you guys to continue listening on. So yeah, I think for this podcast with Vikas, I think it's quite a good and successful conversation.
I
Yeah,
had a
so
great time
thank you so
talking
much
to you
for spending
again.
the time.
Yeah, it was my
Yeah,
pleasure to be on your platform, and I had a great time.